the sites, we looked at the soil because we were looking for an O layer on the soil. And on site 1, right here is a picture, we noticed that there barely was one. It was all silt, like pretty far down where we dug, probably due to the lake coming in every year. And then we went to site 2 and we looked, I picked up some of the soil there, and there was a big layer of moss and needles and bugs, like decomposing it. The O layer is a surface layer with like organic material, and it's all decomposing slowly, and that's something that aspen needs. So I hypothesized that because of the nice soil on the lava flow, the aspen trees have actually seeded there instead of making clones. They've seeded around the rim of the lava tubes because there actually is no big trees and they couldn't clone through the rocks on the lava tubes.
So for our group data, we, the general health, size, and age, we UTM'd approximately 170 trees in this study, and we noted that more of them appeared to be healthy and without conchs, 110, than the 60 that did show signs of having conchs. And for the sizing, unfortunately 90 of them in our notes when we went back were not noted for size, but we did notice for the ones that we did that there were about 40 small ones, so around that size, juvenile trees, and then 25 medium, so like that big, 10 inches in diameter, around there, and then 15 that were larger, so around like that or bigger. And from our core samples, we estimate that the grove was established around 1919 from the largest tree that we found. And so a conch, it's in that picture there, it's a shelf-like growth of fungus that is an indicator of decomposition, usually inside the trunk of the tree. Yes. So, for the risks that we hypothesized for this grove, that why it's not developing any further, are because of the annual flooding, as talked about previously, how that wipes out the suckers, and then also from the shallow O layer, not being able to like receive the proper nutrients to get healthy for the trees. And then also the elk grazing there, we noticed like a ton of elk poop around the area, and so they could be eating the suckers, and that's why they're growing into clumps instead of setting up a single shoot. And then also there was a lot of conifer trees spreaded out through the aspen grove as well, so providing shade, which the aspen trees do not like, and competing.
In conclusion of what we learned a lot, but these are the main points that we thought were important. We learned that aspen trees can be asexual and produce suckers, but they can also be seeded. There are many risk factors about how aspens live. Site 1 is not developing any more aspen trees. Aspen trees contain numerous identical stems called clones. We suspect the suckers are mainly getting killed by the flood, the annual flooding that happens during the winter and the spring, but also the elk are a problem.
So some suggestions that we have for management of this grove would be a controlled hunt of the elk. We don't know how many are there or what the proper number should be in a herd, but it's an idea also to fence off the area where the suckers are growing to let them get established, or for the competition with the conifers, either logging out some of them that are providing shade, or to for the smaller ones controlled burns. And then Romy had an idea for seeding the island on site 2 with the lava tubes to get a new grove established in that area, or just to let it be and let natural succession take its place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Yes.
So when you collected your data on the core sizes, or the cores and the ages. How was that? Like, was it easy to read those cores? No.
It was super hard.
Was it?
We even put iodine on it and it still didn't really work.
Oh, wow.
There were like, for my core sample, I noticed that like 3 inches of it I could read that were closer to the core, like the middle of the tree, were easy to read, but then farther out, they were really light.
And was it, did you notice that there was a change in the size of the annual
Yeah,
lines?
yeah.
You did?
It was confusing because we tried to use it to estimate the actual how old the tree was by using an inch, and then because some of them were rotten, so we wanted to figure out the whole thing. But they grew at different rates, so an inch wasn't exactly real, it was different.
So one other related question, so you said that based on the ages, you thought that the grove was established in about 1918 or 1919.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on the old trees. So when you cored those medium-sized trees, did you see a difference in age?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did.
So my tree, Molly, our medium-sized tree was about 21 years old. I think that's what we counted.
Yeah, 21.
And then the large one that me and Celia did was 85 to 90 years old.
So related question, when you cored the trees in area 1 versus area 2, one area's got soil, right? And one area is more on the rocks. Was there a difference in the growth rates in those two places?
We didn't actually core the ones on
Oh,
site 2 because
okay.
they were young. They were really
They were too
young.
young.
I see.
Yeah, we would have gone all the way through the tree if we tried to core it.
No need there.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So I heard that you took a trip to another aspen. So there's two sites. The sites that you were describing are within South Prairie, correct? And then there was another site that you visited, Cold
Maybe
Springs.
I'll do another one.
Okay.
I didn't have time.
Okay.
Would you guys like to introduce yourself to us?
Haha. I've got a question, and I'll do introduction too. My name's Brendan Norman. I'm the director of the Mount Adams Institute, so one of your partners on this cool experience. My question is less science focused, and it's more kind of focused in on you all. You did really cool research and got to see some pretty neat lands around and on the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. What's kind of the takeaway for you all outside of the science stuff that you did? What are you going to leave this 2-week field ecology experience with?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
New friends.
I was gonna go with change, learning how things change.
And your experiences. A deeper understanding of how everything is connected.
I just feel lost with knowledge.
For me, I think I'm gonna take in everything. It was a learning experience.
I would say experience.
Okay, thanks.
Before we go, could we introduce ourselves to them, tell us a little bit about your jobs? Is that, if we have the time for that?
Sure. So I'm Rick McClure, and I'm the archaeologist for the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, and also manage the Tribal Relations Program. And I have a real interest in South Prairie because we have archaeological sites there, including culturally modified trees. They're cedar trees that have been stripped of their bark to make baskets, and they're along the edges of South Prairie. And so we've done some age estimates on those. Sometimes we do increment boring, but increment boring doesn't work too well to date those kinds of trees. But anyway, so I'm familiar with that area. Also interested in that area because it has one of the only populations of cranberries of any of our natural wet meadow type areas on the forest. There's two places, Dead Horse and South Prairie, that have natural cranberry bogs. So that's another cultural thing about South Prairie. Anyways, enough of that. Anyways, great presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Donner.